It's not too early to call your senators and urge them to vote no on the SAVE Act. Hello everyone, my name is Roya, and today I'm coming to you with the books that I read in the first half of April. This video is coming a little bit late just because the middle of April fell in the middle of the week, so there are a few extra days here in which I did not finish or did not film this video. So anyway, The Gentleman and His Vowsmith, this was sent to me by Colored Pages Book Tours, so thank you so much to Colored Pages Book Tours for sending this my way and allowing me to participate in this tour. This is about a guy who is the son of a duke. He has an impending arranged marriage, but he is in love with and has a history with the guy who is in charge of negotiating the marriage contract, because that's not awkward at all. So I really liked that this was a very queer normative world, even though it's a very like Regency era romance type of thing. I liked the main characters. I liked that our main character becomes besties with his future fiance and all of that, even though, you know, it's so easy to fall into the trap of just making the partner of the arranged marriage that nobody wants be like someone really bad for them, but they actually end up being best friends. He's just not into women, she's not into anybody, she's actually ace and arrow, and I also really liked the romance between our two main characters, because, you know, the only thing that I tend to have an issue with in kind of second chance romances like this one is that we miss out on the actual origin story of them falling in love. We begin this story with them already in love. They just haven't seen each other in a very long time. Our main character has not thought about the other guy in quite a while. He just really put him in the back of his mind, didn't even think about him. I also like that he has kind of an overbearing father who just really, you know, doesn't want him to do anything that he actually wants to do with his life, and it's really sad, and that does create a lot of conflict in our story, and I thought that was really good. There also was a lot going on in this book that I thought was going to be a major plot hole, but then the end actually really tied it all together and it made a lot more sense. So overall, I thought this book was really good. I did think that it could have been a little bit better. I thought that we could have gotten more of the actual romance than the mystery part, because the mystery part doesn't really give us enough to kind of start suspecting people or start thinking anything's going on. It's kind of just people are turning up murdered in their house and nobody knows who it is, and there are actually no suspects for the majority of the book until they figure out who it basically is. They basically figure out who it is, but until that point, like, there are no actual suspects, and I think really what a good mystery needs is you need to be thinking it's this person or that person, or like, could it have been this person or that person, etc., and why. So I thought that this book could have been thought out a lot better, but I thought that it was a really enjoyable read. The Bright and Breaking Sea by Chloe Neal. This is about a ship's captain who is a woman, and basically the queen tasks her with finding somebody. And this, I didn't really have a lot of thoughts on this book. I thought it was a really quick read. I thought it was pretty good. It was something that, you know, I always kind of want some more seafaring adventure in my life, but I didn't think that this had enough of a plot. It's not a very long book, and the 300 and something pages that we do get really are a lot more into the political intrigue aspect of things than the actual, you know, adventure part. And this is the first in a series, so I can kind of forgive it and kind of see how the second one turns out, maybe. But overall, you know, I thought it was a pretty good read. I liked reading it, but I didn't love it. Belle Revolt, this is about two women, one of whom is a noble and one is a commoner, and they switch places because they've both been told you can't do this thing that you want to do because of your social status. So they switch places, and in their roles that they are assuming in this book, they actually uncover a revolution that's going on. So this was really good. I did enjoy it. One of our main characters is asexual, and I thought that was great. And overall, it was a good book. It held up well, but I didn't love it. I think that mostly a lot of YA fantasy just kind of goes in one ear and out the other for me because I want more out of the world than most YA fantasies are necessarily giving us. This is kind of in a like French-based world, but it didn't really go enough into that. It kind of just had French terminology just thrown about willy-nilly and that type of thing. So it tried to have some like a unique world in there, but we didn't really see it. But overall, it wasn't bad, and I'm glad I read it. Night's Weird. This is a kind of an old school type fantasy with historical vibes, and I really liked it. I thought that this follows a compelling main character that is really likable. It definitely reminded me a lot of the some of the older fantasy and the older like historical fiction that I've read and really liked, and so I really liked it. It was a really short book though. I think I would have enjoyed it a little bit more if it was a little bit longer, but overall I did really like this book and I would definitely recommend it. Heavenly Tyrant, this is the sequel to Iron Widow. This follows our main character after she has done all the things that she did in the first book, and she's basically having to be the Empress with this guy who she's awakened from the dead, like looming over her and like telling her what to do, and she's not a fan of that. So it made a lot of really good points about women and how people are treated, and it also opens up the world of the story into something much larger. However, I didn't enjoy it as much as I did the first one. The first one was just a really tough act to follow, and our other main characters besides our main character are barely in this one. The poly relationship that we get in the first book that was so good is not in this one, and that made me really sad as well. But overall, this was a really, really good book, and I could barely put it down. Hemlock and Silver by T. Kingfisher. I will have a full review of this one on release day, but because I have a lot of thoughts on this, but basically this is one of my most anticipated releases, and it comes out in August. This is about a potions expert that goes to the palace to find out what is poisoning the princess and why she is showing symptoms of poisoning. When nothing that she's eating, nothing that she's coming into contact with appears to be the culprit. And when she gets there and she starts her examinations and all of that, it really seems like the princess knows exactly what's going on and just doesn't want anyone else to know. Like I said, I'm going to go into more detail on release day in my video that actually explains a little bit more about the plot, but for now I don't really want to give away too much more than that. But this wasn't as good. This was not my favorite of her books. It wasn't as good as some of her other books, but some of them, like the one she wrote last year, are definitely just a really tough act to follow, and this one just didn't quite, like, just because it took forever to get going. It really took a hot minute to get there. And then some of the things that happen did feel a little bit convenient, but overall, the slight creepiness combined with just a unique, like, just interesting idea that I hadn't really seen before was all really good and all really interesting, and I could not put this book down. It was so good. Holy Terrors by Margaret Owen. This is the third and final book in this series. I don't actually know the series title of this. It might just be the Little Thieves series or the Holy Terrors series, one of those. But anyway, this is just because this is the third book in a series, I'm not going to talk too much about the series overall, but this is a fantasy that takes place in a very, olden day German-esque world, and our main character is so interesting and she's just a badass thief and is like really cool and all of that. And I thought that this particular book was so fun. I could barely put it down. This whole series has a really good way of keeping you reading no matter what's happening. There are conflicts, you know, no matter what it is that's happening. It could be something really small. You just have to keep flying through the pages to see what happens. She also gets a cat in this one. And this book made a lot of really good points about how someone is perceived if they're pretty versus ugly, but doing the exact same thing. And I thought that that was definitely really interesting, that society definitely does have expectations on people based on how they look. And that is overall kind of a theme of this series, but it definitely did really bring that up a lot in this book and make a lot of really good points about this. The Stars Undying, this is a space opera that's basically inspired by Cleopatra and Caesar, all of that. So we do follow two main characters, one of whom is a princess who has to get the throne back from her sister who stole it, but then did she really steal it, and all of that. So it's definitely really interesting. I thought that I as with a lot of dual perspective books, I thought that one main character's chapters were a lot more interesting, whereas the other one was kind of like just detail that I didn't feel like we necessarily needed all of, and all of that. But overall, I did think that this was really well done, and I thought that it was a compelling read. So anyway, those are the books that I read in the the first half of April. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye!